Hello, hello, we are live. How's everyone doing? If you are looking at this live in the chat box, let me know where you are looking at this from. We have people from all over. Okay, welcome, welcome. Okay, let me switch over to the chat so I can see everyone here. Okay, wonderful. I can see everyone. Great. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to go into detail about basic marketing. And marketing, believe it or not, has a lot of psychology in it. And so those are some of the things that I'm going to be touching upon here with all of you. First of all, thank you for joining me. My name is Dr. RB, and I'm a licensed psychologist. And I coach mental health professionals, coaches, and spiritual practitioners to grow their thriving practice with the use of marketing, specifically digital marketing. And that's what we're going to get into a little bit today. So you can see SpongeBob, doing the little marketing wave here. When you think of marketing, what comes to your mind? Put it in the chat and let me know. Okay, wonderful. So the first thing that I want to go into, because we talked that marketing has to do with psychology, they're pretty close knit together. In what way do you think that is? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. In what way is marketing and psychology linked? In what way are they linked? Okay, I'm seeing different responses here. Yes, exactly. So, psychology, some people would say, is a study of human behavior. So, that's one, excuse me, definition that's been applied to that. And I would say it's really more than that. There's the definition of psychology. I always like to look at where the root word comes from, the etymology of the word, and it really comes from the word of the soul. That's what psychology means in the Greek, psychologos. It's the word of psyche, and it's the word of the soul. And it has to do, behavior is the most outward observation when it comes to looking at people, right? When somebody does something and they act in a certain way, they behaved in a certain way, then that has to do with psychology. You're observing behavior. And so, in that aspect, if we can think of marketing has to do with how someone behaves, in relation to your practice. It's also in relation to your business, of course. But I'm trying to keep a focus here on anyone that has clients. So if you are serving clients, then you could say you have a business that serves clients. Okay. When I think of clients, I think of a practice. A business, I would probably relate that more to customers. So a business has customers, a practice has clients. That's kind of how I would look at it. And that's how I would define it, just to give it a little bit of shape and form in our conversation. So when it comes to marketing, marketing is connecting with your community, connecting with your ideal customer or ideal client in this case. It's connecting, having a connection. And hopefully that connection will turn into a relationship, which that's what I like to look at as the process of marketing and sales is to connect with your community, and your community is a community made up of people that you want to work with, your ideal customer or client, and they need your services. They need your services, they need your training, your skills, they need the gifts that you bring. That is your ideal customer or client, which a bunch of them make up a community, and that's who you want to connect with. Okay. I like to use connect rather than target. Target for me, it's like, that type of thing, which we won't be discussing here. But when you connect with someone, it's because you know them, you have an idea, you're imagining this individual, and that individual that you're imagining represents usually a group of people. And as you're imagining them and you kind of imagine what they like, what they don't like, what their needs are, and when you think and imagine what their needs are, then you want to create products or services that's going to meet their needs. That's how you would think about marketing. That's how you would think about connecting to that individual. Can you see how that's very psychological in and of itself? Yeah, it's very psychological because we would have to imagine this person that kind of represents a group of people, and we imagine what they need from us, how we're able to serve their needs, how we're able to provide a product or service. In my case, as a psychologist, I'm providing a service. However, I could have products as well. In other words, I could have an ebook that maybe talks about how to handle depression. I could have a meditation series where they would, download meditation. That would be another digital product that I could offer. Okay, nowadays it's very popular. It's been popular for a while now. Adult coloring books to reduce anxiety. So there's many things that we could offer as far as services and products. If I would like, I can offer physical products. I can have an Etsy store and offer physical products, which I also do. I have an Etsy store because right now I am selling on this Etsy store their T-shirts, and they have Jungian, Carl Jung, different sayings in a different way that's kind of funky, but it promotes the same message. And not only Carl Jung, I have a bunch of different, philosophers and poets, and it's all on a T-shirt. So that's something that I got into last year, and so my Etsy store is it's called Spark Sense. So if you ever go on Etsy and you see Spark Sense, you'll see my store there. So let's get into a little bit about this and the psychological twist that I have been speaking about. So, again, the first thing we want to keep in mind when we have a practice or even a business is that you have to remember that it's not about emotions. Let me explain what I mean by that. When you have a practice or you have a business, you have to really keep your emotions in check, because otherwise you'll end up making bad decisions. Usually there are bad decisions made because you did not keep your emotions in check, and you became afraid or you panicked and you made a decision. And so when it comes to marketing, this connecting to your ideal client or customer and that community that they represent, and you want to keep your emotions in check. The same way that when you have a real relationship with someone, you don't just vomit all your emotions onto that person. I mean, that's a good imagination to have, right? Vomiting on top of someone, and that other person's like, what happened? Actually, that reminds me of a funny story, and I'll share it with you. A number of years ago, quite a number of years ago in the 90s, I'll just say that, I came on a trip to northern Spain. I'm also in northern Spain right now. I'm between northern Spain and Miami, but it was not the Atlantic northern Spain, the part on top of Portugal. It's actually the northern Spain that's close to France, which is País Vasco, or the Basque country. And I was over there. I wanted to do a pilgrimage to the Loyola. There's a shrine there to Ignatius of Loyola, which is a Jesuit saint in the Catholic tradition. Well, in the Catholic and the Anglican, whatever. I think you understand. In the Christian tradition. And I wanted to go there. At that time in my life, I was very much studying Ignatian theology, and I just wanted to go. So I had stayed in San Sebastian, which is the a major city in that area. It's beautiful. If you ever have a chance to go to the Basque Country, go to San Sebastian. The architecture of the city is French, so it has a very Parisian feel to the city. And so, anyway, I had stayed there and I had eaten at a restaurant and ordered fish because you're on the coast and in northern Spain, all the seafood, the best seafood, comes from the north, especially Galicia, which is where I'm at right now. But back then, I was on this, Basque country in San Sebastian. So I was in this restaurant. I ordered this fish. I didn't think anything of it. It smelled fine. It was delicious. Everything was wonderful about it. The very next day, I'm on a bus taking me to Loyola, to the shrine of Ignatius of Loyola. So I'm on this bus going over there, and there was this, lady in front of me, and there was a gentleman in front of her, and they were traveling together. They were dressed very nicely, and they looked nice, and all of that. And this bus had like a table. You had some seats with a table in between, like a train, but it was a bus. So I'm there, and I just all of a sudden I said to my friend that I was traveling with, I said, I'm not feeling well. And I did not even get to finish that sentence when that fish just came right out and bathed the woman in front of me and the friend of hers in front of her. They were both just like, they literally, their faces like what just happened? It was the most disgusting thing that's ever happened to me. And I was so embarrassed. I apologized over and over. Luckily, they were very nice. They felt so sorry for me. I just kept projectile vomiting. It was terrible. Finally, when we stopped in Loyola, because the bus driver, he just kept driving. And when we finally got there, it was just really, it was terrible. It was so, it was horrible. After about an hour, I felt a lot better. And then I just went into the shrine to give confession at the time. But that's anyway. So this is what that reminded me of. Okay, a little bit of a tangent. But when we talk about marketing, we are making sure that we are not making these emotional decisions, right? Whenever you have your own business, and having your own practice is having your own business, that means that you have to think more by the numbers. You have to be very logical and mathematical. You have to see the numbers. The numbers will never lie. The numbers do not have emotion. And so it's so important to not make marketing about emotions. Okay. And for those of you that own your own business, and especially if you own your own practice, if you're in the mental health professions, coaches, or spiritual practitioners that has a practice, you understand that there are times where you look at your week and you're like, I don't have anyone this week. I have the week off. And it's not because, you planned a nice vacation. You thought you were going to see clients and you see your calendar, there's nothing there. Now, when you take a step back, because that could be very scary, right? To see your calendar and not see anyone. But when you take a step back and you look at the whole week, the whole month, and you start looking at the data, you look at the actual appointments that you had, the revenue that came in, because maybe one month you had two clients, but those two clients, it was a higher ticket service that you provided. So those two clients pretty much made the same revenue as the month before when you had 10 clients, because they were maybe some sessions that were lower ticket revenue that came in. So you have to see the numbers, and the numbers will tell you the whole story. It's just like, I can't tell you how many times I came to the end of my year and I thought, oh, this year was horrible, and I didn't make any revenue. Revenue, and let me just clarify something. Revenue is what comes into the business. Income is what someone receives personally. An employee receives income. A business receives revenue. And if you decide to pay yourself because you're the owner or what have you, then you're going to give yourself income. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that. So there's been many times where I say I didn't make any revenue this year, but then I look at the numbers and the numbers are pretty good. They're not as bad as I thought they would be. Okay. For example, during COVID, which most of us shut down and we lost a lot of revenue, some of us would look and say, wow, I thought it was going to be worse. And that's because we looked at the numbers. So always look at the numbers. They tell you the story. Okay. The emotions will not tell you the story. A lot of the times the emotions will trick you. That's why emotions are one of those things that they come from the unconscious, because that's how I look at emotions in my training in psychology. I see emotions coming from the unconscious. They come up. We could do things that will trigger an emotion, okay? But we really can't make ourselves something, okay? We can do something that will then trigger that, if that makes sense. So it's just like when you see people that are always trying to be happy because they think you have to be happy 100% of the time. That's very difficult, because the unconscious, if you keep trying to do that and you force it, the unconscious then has a way of swinging it the other way to kind of balance things out. But anyway, I digress. So when we are in a private practice or when we have our own business, we have to look at the data. The data is what's going to give you the story, not your emotions. So please, 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 please do not make it about emotions. Do not do that. Okay. There's another quick story that I want to share that I heard recently, actually. And this is an Asian, sort of like an Asian proverb. And in this story, you have a man that he owned a horse. This is like in the countryside. He owned a horse. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my cursor here. Okay, there we go. He owned a horse, and then everyone in the town came over to him and they say to him, oh, you have a wonderful horse. Your horse is so special. And the man said to the townspeople, yes, it's a horse. Yes, it's a beautiful horse. It's a nice horse, but it's a horse. Then someone arrives to the town, a very wealthy man, a nobleman, and he comes over and he sees this stunning horse. And he went over to the man and he says, "You know, I want to buy your horse. I'm going to buy that horse. It's so beautiful. It's so special. I'm going to purchase it." And the man said, "I'm sorry, it's not for sale." And the man tried and tried to buy it, and the owner said no. So the nobleman, the wealthy man, he leaves the town. And then the townspeople come and they said, "Oh, you're such a fool. You should have sold that horse. That horse is, look at that, all that money that you did not receive because you refused to sell it." And he says, "That's my horse, and I decide if I want to sell or not sell." So a few days pass, the horse runs away, breaks the barrier and jumps over and just runs away. And then all the townspeople, "You see, you're such a fool. Your horse ran away. You could have been a millionaire with all that money." And he says, "That's okay. The horse ran away and I don't have a horse. And that's what it is." Then the horse came back and brought all these other beautiful horses. All these special horses came back. And all the townspeople came and said, "Oh, you're such a wise man. Look, you let your horse run away so the horse can bring you all the beautiful other horses back. Now you have so many beautiful horses, you could really make so much money." And the man says, "Yes, the horse ran away and the horse came back with other horses. That's all it is." Then the man's son was started to train some of these horses, and the horse kicked the son and broke the son's legs. Now the son is handicapped and in a wheelchair. And now all the townspeople, "Oh, you foolish man, look what happened. These horses, your son was trying to, train them, and now your son, he's no good to you. When you are old, your son can't help you. Look at him, he's disabled." And he says, "All it is that one of the horses broke my son's legs, and that's unfortunate. And now my son's handicapped. That's all it is." A couple weeks later, the king comes and he issues an order. All the young men have to go off to war to protect this kingdom. So they round up all the men and they take them, all the young men, and all the townspeople come and they said, "Oh, you're such a wise man. All of us have lost our sons. And look, your son, yes, he's in a wheelchair, but at least you have him. We don't have our sons. Our sons have been taken off to fight the war. You're such a wise man." And he says, "No, all I have is that my son, he's in the wheelchair, and it is what it is." So basically, the story here is that things are what they are. It's what we create, the meaning that we create, that builds up this emotion that we have about things. Okay, because we always want to attach meaning to something, right? And that meaning stirs up emotion. So in your business, in your private practice, please be careful when you do that. Please be careful when you do that. Sometimes it is what it is. Let's go on. So now we're going to get into some basic terms. So that's what we're going to really get into tonight. Is I want to clarify some basic terminology or terms for you when it comes to marketing. And again, for those of you that are mental health professionals, if you're a social worker, licensed mental health counselor, marriage and family therapist, if you're a coach, a life coach, you're a spiritual practitioner, think astrologer, intuitive healer, Reiki healer, and you have a private practice, this is going to be helpful for you. And so let's talk about some basic terms here when it comes to marketing. The first thing we really want to get into are what we call leads. And leads is really that first step. Okay, so what I mean by that is that leads basically become a potential client, or if you own a business, a potential customer. So it's basically you have communicated something and someone comes along and they see what you communicated and they say, I'm interested in that. I think I like that. And that becomes a lead. That becomes a lead. I just had my computer turn on and become alive because there's a thing called that starts listening and then it starts writing. I hope it doesn't start listening now. Okay, it hasn't turned back on, but it started writing here. So a lead, it's a potential individual, it's a potential client that has shown interest in what you have to offer. So, for example, if you have a website or you have a landing page, which is very similar to a website, and you're talking about that, let's say you provide meditation services for your clients. And I thought my little dog wanted to come in. Meditation services for your client, and you ask that whoever sees that to add their name and email. Once they add their name and email, or just their email, they become a lead. So they go from being this person that just happened to come to see your landing page or website. And we'll talk about landing pages a little bit. Actually, I'll touch upon it now when I get into another term here that's important. But when someone shows an interest in what you have to offer, that person then becomes a lead. So they provided something to you, which is very valuable. If you have someone that provides you an email in today's world is like gold. It's very valuable because now you have a way of maintaining contact. So anytime you are surfing the web or looking at anything and it asks you, a box pops up or something, and it says, if you're interested in this, provide your email, then you're going to become a lead. That's when you become a lead. So signing up for a newsletter, downloading a free resource, a free ebook, maybe you're filling out a contact form for something, or even when you're engaging in social media, if you become a follower, you have become a lead when we talk about social media. So in social media, leads are followers. So, and you probably have heard this before, people that are influencers, this title that's given to them, because you would think that they would influence a group of people. Those are people usually that have a high volume of followers. They have a lot of followers. Okay. So you can see that as a lead as well. So people that provide you something in order to receive something from you, that is the first step, and that's called a lead. So they've basically shown interest and they provided something to you. That's why it's so important to offer something in exchange for their email, or even exchange for them to follow you on social media. They're following you because you've offered them some content that they like, and they probably like your personality. They liked how you presented it. They like the beautiful pink color in the background. Who knows? But you've offered them something. You've done something there, and then they decide to follow you. So they become a lead. Okay. And again, these are just purely marketing terms. If I understand that, especially if you are in the mental health professions, if you're coaching or spiritual practices or a practitioner, you don't see the clients that you're serving in this way. But we're talking purely in marketing terms. Okay. So just kind of bear with me with that. Because some of you might be kind of getting a little antsy, like I don't like that, but it's just a way to kind of conceptualize this. And so these people are not your client and they're not your customer yet. It's a lead. They've offered something, they've shown interest, and now they become a lead. So they're actually now closer to you than they were before. Before, they did not even exist in your world because you didn't even know that they were there. And then you ran into them, or they ran into you actually, and they provided something and they established a connection. The connection is through the email, and the connection is through them following you. So they are considered a lead. Okay. Now what happens is that they want more. They want, and that's what we call nurturing. So, and it's just, again, if you're like me, you're a psychologist and you're kind of listening to all these words, and that'll also give you some other information that we're not going to go into. But that's how I think. I mean, I'm thinking nurturing. Now you're talking about nurturing that has a maternal or caregiver type of feel to it. Yeah. Okay. So when you have a connection and they are a lead, okay, they're still not your customer, they're not your client. It requires you to give them stuff and nurture this lead, because what you want to do then is you want to have more of a relationship with them, so eventually they can become a client or they can become a customer, because they're going to trust you, they're going to like you, and they're going to want to purchase whatever you have to offer, because they know that whatever you have to offer is going to help them in some way. Okay, so that's where you want to think about that. So it's really about, that's why I don't agree with a transactional relationship, because when you're talking about transactions, you may be made a sale. Okay, you got a sale, but then there's no relationship after that. There's no nurturing, there's no maintaining the contact. And let me tell you something, and this, if you stop and think about even how you do it, it's just human nature. You go to some place, you go to a restaurant, and the moment you step in, you have this amazing experience. You smell the restaurant, it smells amazing. Someone comes up to you, they're smiling, and they treat you, and you feel so special because they're treating you very special, in a special way. They walk you to the table, they pull out the chair, you sit down, they hand you a menu. I mean, it's like, you're like, wow, you're just loving it, right? You're loving all of that. And you're having an experience. So the moment you walk in, it's all experiential. You are being nurtured, 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 nurtured. And then you order your food, they bring you the drinks, they bring you your meal, then the meal just tastes amazing, and the conversation is great, the ambiance is just amazing. You're like transported in time to some place. um, and by the end of all of that, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to probably, well, if you're like me, you'll make a whole video about it, take lots of pictures and post it on TripAdvisor. That's what I do. I love doing that when I travel. I am a TripAdvisor contributor, and I don't even know what level I'm at now, but I love doing that. And I love writing it up and taking pictures. And if I really enjoyed someone, the way they served me or treated me, I take a picture with them. If they want to. And it's interesting because my family and I, we were in Santiago de Compostela, in Santiago, here in Galicia. It's about an hour away from where I'm at. And we went there and we ended up just going to an ice cream place. And the funny thing is, this ice cream place that was advertised, I forget if it was TripAdvisor or somewhere, it was advertised. There was a huge line, a long, long line. And, it was very small, very tiny, and they didn't have a lot of flavors. So we just kept walking. And then we found a place that didn't have anybody, but they had a lot of flavors. The place looked great. It was just not well known. It was probably new. So immediately, my family and I, we took pictures with the owner. We took pictures of the whole place. Well, I just received an email recently that 30 something thousand people have seen the pictures, have read the little thing that I wrote on TripAdvisor. So who knows? Who knows how many leads that went into being clients or customers, what would be customers for this ice cream place in Santiago. And I haven't actually been back there since. So it's really incredible, and just to know that 30 something thousand people saw, just a picture that I took that day. And I hope that lady's still there. She was wonderful. And I think she was the owner. And so hopefully she's still there. So again, when someone finds us and they like what we have to offer, they like our presentation or whatever, and they decide to make a connection because we're inviting them to connect with us. And we invite them because we have a pop up box or we have something that says, do you want this? Please provide your email. So they provide the email. Or do you like my content? Press like and follow. It's the same thing. Then after that, we begin nurturing them and we provide them with more content. That's the nurturing piece. Or maybe they made a contact with us because we offered a newsletter, we offered a free ebook, whatever we can offer them that will help them. It's they're going to appreciate that, and they haven't even yet become our client or customer. Okay, all of that process is because they are a lead. Okay, now let's move on here. So that's just the first. We don't have a lot of terms, but the next term that we have would be the funnel. And we talked about this before. And basically, the definition of a funnel is that it's really about a customer journey. So it's taking a customer, and I'm going to read it because I love how this is wording it, from an awareness to a purchase, or I would say an awareness to receiving a service from us. Okay. So they become aware that I'm a psychologist. They become aware that so-and-so is an astrologer. They become aware that someone is a life coach. And they could have been referred, and that would be another type of marketing, the word of mouth, which is very valuable. Or they just found us and they become aware, then we nurture them. And so this journey that we have them come in on, and it's like usually there's steps to this journey, is called a funnel. So you think of a funnel like this, people start up here, and then not everybody comes through the other end as a client or as a customer. So it's really important to have a funnel attached to your practice and to your business. If you don't know how to start one or have one, please let me know in the comments. If you're watching this on social media, let me know in the in the comments, and if you're on YouTube, let me know also in the comments down below. I usually have a free. You have, I think it's a week or two free on System or System.io, which is what I use, and I like them because they're very easy. It's very intuitive. I'm all about intuition. And so that would be a funnel. It's basically taking them from awareness to purchase. It's a journey. And then the last term here would be conversion. Again, one of those terms that you're thinking, really? Now you're going to put religion into it? First it was like maternal with nurturing, and now we have conversion. And yeah, it is what it is, but this is a marketing term that basically it's about guiding someone. Again, we have this idea of guiding, nurturing. They come through the marketing funnel. They're having an experience, because your marketing funnel should take them on an experience, whether it is education, you educate them more and more about something, and then they purchase it after that. So you are guiding a customer through a marketing funnel. They're having this experience, and now they're turning the initial interest that they have, because they have an awareness, they found out about you, they have an initial interest, and now they start taking concrete actions that benefits your practice or your business. And this results in a key metric. Okay, so when I talked to you before about looking at the data is about key metrics. And I'm going to show you an example of that in just a couple seconds. And by looking at the metrics or at the data, that's how it helps you understand how to effectively market yourself, what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. I'm having some chats coming through here as well. Any questions, please put it in the chat box. and I will answer them. Okay, so then this is an example, and I'm going to actually put it over the whole screen so you're able to see it a little bit better. Now, this is actually what System.io looks like. And so you have here, and I don't know if it's too big on that screen. I don't know, because I don't know if I can see what you're seeing. But anyway, I'm going to let me first tell you what's on here, and then I'm going to make it bigger. So you have the system or systeme. I like calling it systeme. It sounds more chic in French. So you have the systeme dashboard, and you have it at a glance here. So here we have, you see the new leads. The new leads meaning, again, people have taken the initiative, they've given you their email, and you see that here. So here in a span of time, this is a week, because here at the top, you're able to put the length of time. So you could put a week, a month, whatever you'd like there. And then you'll see the new leads. So in this case, we have 651 new leads. These are individuals that have found you and they were interested and they gave an email. And so they became a lead. So here on this side over here, you have more data. So you're tracking Sunday to Saturday. So that tells you it's a week. How many customers and how many leads. The customers or the clients are after they've been converted, okay? After the conversion experience, after that they become a client or a customer. So let me make it bigger now. And so again, you have your conversion rate, which is over here. The conversion rate basically is, and I'm going to show you a formula in a moment. The conversion rate is usually a percentage, because it's how many leads came in and how many decided to become a client or to become a customer, to actually buy whatever you're offering. So if you have 100 leads and 50 50 of those leads become clients, you have 50% conversion. So 1 out of every 2 individuals that has given their email and their name became a client or a customer. They decide to purchase something. And so that's 50%. That's actually very good. That's a very good conversion rate. And just to give you an example there. Now, what we want to do, we want to have a goal. So we want to start thinking about number of emails that go out. And again, you can look at this formula 2 different ways. This formula, and by the way, this is not something I created. This is part of my community, which is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful digital growth community, which is a program that teaches people how to do this stuff. What I do is I coach people through this program, because it's an amazing program and I really like it. So I just find it's easy to take a group of people and coach them through a program that they could use. So I didn't have to, because this is basically like a course. I could have designed a course similar to this, but I didn't. Why? When this is amazing and it's working wonderfully well. So here, there's 2 ways we can look at this. We can look at this as leads that come in. And what we want to think about is, according to this formula, every 20 leads that comes in, 1 of them should be a client or a customer. So it's 1 out of every 20. And the last example, we had 1 out of every 2, because we had 50%, that's amazing. But here, this is also amazing, believe it or not. It's 1 out of every 20. So 1 out of every 20 leads or people that show an interest in what you have to offer, 1 out of every 20, they buy your product or service from you. Okay, so this is what we have here. So this will be a formula to look at. And with this formula, again, you have leads, you also have emails. You could also use this formula for advertising. If you wanted to advertise, one of the things that this program covers is free advertising. There's many different sites that offer free advertising, and you would then you would submit a post, an ad, an advertisement into this free ads website. And so again, that's another way to look at this formula. Okay, so let's just get into a little bit the formula here. So the first thing you want to look at is customers you need to reach your goal. What is your goal? So here they're starting with a goal, and a goal is revenue. It's how much revenue do I want to bring in a month that I want to shoot for. So this would be a goal. So here we're looking at a $10,800 a month goal. So that would be the goal. That's the kind of like the threshold. We want to make more than that. So we have $10,800 in revenue. We want to make more than that. So what do we have to do? So here they take 12 times 20, which equals 240, and then you divide it. But let's follow this a minute because this is going to explain it. Because I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm getting excited. So customers you need to reach your goal times the emails needed to get a customer. So customers I need would be 12 to reach my goal, okay? And times the emails needed to get a customer, because we talked about submitting 20 leads, 20 emails, or you could think of it as 20 posts, free ad posts. So just the 20 is the magic number here. And so when you multiply this, you get 240. Now, how do we know that we need 12 customers? Because we have to divide our goal, which is 10,800, by the cost of whatever product or service. So for example, and I guess you're not able to see the calculator, but I have a calculator here. I don't know if you're able to see it if I share it, but anyway, if you take out a calculator, take out your phone and let's get into the calculator and we could do it together. Okay. So here, according to this example, we want to shoot for a goal of 10,800. And if your product is 900, which that's what this is based on, it's based on a product of $900. Because in this program, one of the products that you can resell, because you have master sales rights, and that's another topic that we can get into another time, it would be 900. So you would have your 10,800 divided by 900. So that means you need 12 clients. So if you do the math, 10,800 in revenue a month divided by the cost of this one product, which is 900, that gives you 12. You need 12 of these products sold. You have to sell 12 in a month in order to make that. Let's do it a different way. And I'll just do it just for a split second, and then we're going to get back to this because I don't want to lose you. Let's say you want to make the same amount of money, 10,800. And let's say you are an astrologer and you charge $250 an hour, which I think is pretty an average price. An average would be between 200 and 250 based on people that I've coached. So let's say it's 200. We'll just go with 200. So you take the revenue at the end of the month and you divide it by 200. You need to see in a month 54 clients. You have to have 54 clients in a month to make that revenue. Okay. So then you have to think, how is my conversion? With everyone that wants a service or that's interested, let's just say with anyone that's interested in astrology and having their natal chart done, okay, how many of those people that are showing an interest with how many people actually book an appointment and pay. Okay, that's where you have to think of those numbers. And then from there, you get a percentage. Just like going back to the prior chart, remember here we have 651 new leads and the conversion rate is 50%. That means that half of these people became customers or clients. So if your conversion rate, a good conversion rate, let's say, would be 1 out of every 3. It depends on what you're offering. But let's say it's 1 out of every 5 people. Okay, 1 out of every 5. So if you need 54 and it's 1 out of every 5 people become a client that pays you, you're going to have to then multiply this by 5. That means that you have to either send out 270 emails, 270 ads, or you need to have 270 people come to your website or landing page and want more information and give you their email, or 270 new followers. And that's, again, thinking that the followers, the emails, and all of that is the same conversion rate. That would make it a little more complicated, that we don't have time for that here. But it just depends on your conversion rate. Okay, so let's stick with this formula now. So we have 10,800, the product is 900. And this particular program, we have a product for 100, for 300, for 600, and for 900. But we're going to stick with 900 just for the sake of this formula. So 900 divided into 10,800, that gives you 12 clients. So we're going to put 12 there. And we know that out of every 20, we get a client. We just know that conversion rate, right? So we would then have to multiply this by 20. And that's why you see it says that emails needed to get a customer. We already know that from experience. If you don't have that experience and you're starting out from ground zero, then you don't know what you don't know, right? But if you are, if you've had maybe a month or two that you've been advertising, then you start to see your conversion. Okay, out of so many emails, I'm noticing on average, I get about 1 or 2 clients that actually come and book an appointment with me. So here we have 12 clients to get the monthly revenue we need. We multiply that by 20 because we kind of have an idea of our conversion. And then we divide it by the number of days in a month. So you divide it by 31, like it says there. Okay, it comes out to 7.74, but we're just going to round it up, and that becomes 8 new emails a day. You need 8 new emails a day, which is totally doable. Or you need, maybe if it's the same conversion rate, you need 8 new posts that you want to do on free advertising on the free post website. You could do that. Or you could do something exciting on social media and have 8 new followers, provided all those 3 ways of finding leads have the same conversion rate. Okay. And then that's how you understand what you need to do every day. So what I love about this formula is it just makes it so clear that this is what I have to do every day. This is the first thing I need to do every day. Okay. So again, do not rely on how you feel. Look at the metrics, look at the data, the numbers. That's going to help you make good decisions in your private practice or in your business. If you just happen to be watching this and you don't have a private practice, but you're trying to start a business, this is what you need to know. You need to find this formula. And this is going to take some time because, as we saw in the graph before, we have data. This is based on a week of data. If you're starting out, you're not going to have this data. Or maybe you're starting fresh and you have 3 weeks in. Okay, so you have 3 weeks of data. You can see it on something like Sistine.io. So this would be one tool that I love because I mean, there I have other videos that I do a walkthrough on Sistema.io. It's just great. It provides you with the funnel as well as email marketing. Okay. Every business and practice needs to have a funnel. That's why I think funnels are much more important than a website. A website, it's educational, but a website does not get a person to have an experience and walk them through so they could eventually seek your services, which is what you want. If you never have a client come in to your practice will not last long. So it's so important to understand this. This is not a lot of the times, especially us that are in the mental health professions or coaching or spiritual practices, we shy away from all of this because we're like, no, that's bad. No, it's not bad. It's the life and blood of your practice. And if you can no longer practice because you have to close the doors, then who are you going to serve? Nobody. And that's not good. So I've had to learn that the hard way because that other mentality was really affecting my practice when I started back in 2005. Okay. So this is a wonderful formula that I just think is so important to have. Is just understanding I need to have this much revenue every month and how many clients do I need to get there? Okay, once I know that number, in this case, this formula, they just chose 12. Okay, it could be anything. It just depends on what you're offering. Then once you do the math and you do a conversion, another way you can also go about this, and I just thought of that, is you can go and research what is the average conversion rate for your profession. So, what would be the average for a psychologist, a mental health practitioner, a coach, or a spiritual practitioner, an astrologer, what have you? What would be the average conversion rate? And then you could use that if you're starting out. If you don't have your own data, you could use that. And that would be like a benchmark. That means you're comparing your numbers to the average of other people that are doing what you're doing. So that would be a benchmark. That's what we would call a benchmark. Okay. I hope this was helpful for you. I know that maybe it was a little long winded, but I really think it's so important to understand how to grow your thriving practice. And again, if you have a business, welcome. You could stay with us. We won't throw you out in the cold. So the same, how you can grow your business. It's based on things like this. So again, it's so important. Emotions, they don't belong here. Emotions, will put them for something else. When you are engaging with your client, that's emotional because you want them to have an experience and they're human and all of that. That's wonderful. But not when you are looking at these numbers and you're trying to make a business decision. You need to make every business decision based on the matrix, right? You're not going to ask for a business loan if you don't have any revenue coming in. That doesn't make any sense. How are you going to pay that loan? You need to have revenue, right? So you wouldn't do that because you can see the numbers. You're looking at the metrics. Now, if you don't think about it, whoever you're asking for the loan, if they're reputable, they're going to ask you for those metrics. They're going to ask you for a profit and loss, a balance sheet, all of that. So they're going to determine if you can pay the loan or not. Trust me on that. So thank you so much for giving me your time. It's already almost 2 a.m. here in Galicia, northern Spain. And again, if you are you just started and you're trying to grow a thriving practice, that's what I'm here for. I want to be your coach and I want to take you on this journey. So you're just getting to know me. So here we go. This is awareness. You're just starting to get to know me. And I hope this content has nurtured you. I hope you were able to take something of value from what I taught here today. And if you didn't, then let me know in the comments how I can improve. I believe in continuous improvement, right? And if I can continue being there for you, if there's a way that I can, walk with you on this, please also let me know in the comments. If you want to get a hold of me, you have my on that ticker that's going across the screen, my website. So www.growyourthrivingpractice.com. You can also find me at discoveringmyself.com. But the part of coaching for people to grow a thriving practice would be at what you see there, the www.growyourthrivingpractice.com. You'll also see me on YouTube as growyourthrivingpractice.com. So I'm also there. This actually will go on YouTube as well as other platforms. Um, so again, my name is Dr. RB. It has been such a pleasure and such an honor to connect with you here and to share some of what I have learned and coached other people that are trying to grow their practices. Okay. So, wishing you a wonderful rest of your evening where you are, or day or morning, wherever you're watching this. Bye bye for now.